Hey everyone, Josh here. So it's about 1:30 in the morning, so we're gonna make this a nice, quick, easy video. Just getting this dual mass flywheel wrapped up, and this car had another potentially catastrophic issue that I have been putting off, and I should have done a while ago. So the dual mass flywheel has been rattling forever. Got that solved here now, but a fairly recent issue was a serpentine belt squeal. So usually it's not a huge deal. If a pulley seizes or whatever, belt falls off, fix the issue then. I've done that on ALHs a pile of times, same thing with BWs. But on these cars, the bottom cover seems it's a bit loose and it sucks the belts in. So it's a somewhat common issue. If the serpentine belt fails, it'll suck it into the timing belt, jump timing, and it is not a good day. So this car was squeaking. I really didn't want the serpentine belt to jump and fall in, obviously. So I did the alternator pulley. So it's a clutch pulley. I've already done a video on this on a BEW about a month ago, and this car is identical. It's supposed to slip one way and grab the other way, and this is solid both ways. So what that ends up doing is the serpentine belt is going to jump around and the tensioner is going to jump around. So initially I thought this was my only issue, but the tensioner is screwed. So a pile of play and the belt's kind of running a little cockeyed, and I really don't want the belt to jump. So that's what we're doing today. Okay, so this was really obvious from above. You can't see it quite as much from underneath here, but you can just, I don't know why it's picking up all the glare here, but watch the pulley. So basically as I'm releasing it, you can see the top's coming out, bottom's coming in. So it's got a pile of play in and out on the actual tensioner shaft. So we're gonna get this tensioner changed out. So it's not the pulley that's screwed, it's the actual tensioner portion. So I'm gonna get this off, and then I'm gonna show you where we have to try and get at. Okay, with the belt off, you can see it. So it's just moving all over the place. So if I told you it's only a single bolt holding it on, you think it's a pretty easy job, but I swear whoever designed all the stuff on the front, like the alternator, thermostat, and this bolt, they must have been taking hints from the V10 TDI designers, because there's a tiny little hole. You know, if I can get it on the camera here, there's a tiny little hole in behind the alternator that we have to get at, which does not look fun. Luckily, I've got a spare engine sitting back here, so it's a lot easier to see. So the alternator would be sitting right here, and here's that tensioner shaft. So there's a hole right there. So something like that. So again, that doesn't make it look very nice, but you got a rough idea of where we are. So there's the thermostat, and obviously the alternator would have been sitting right here. So overall, really not a nice spot. So basically my plan is, without taking anything apart, is to go from up above here. You can see the hole right there. So I'm going to take my shallow socket, a shallow extension, swivel, and then probably two really big deeps, and try and shimmy it underneath this rad hose, and hopefully I can kind of guide it in where it needs to be, and then just quick little tap with the impact and off it comes. Okay, that is a terrible spot to get at. I've got pretty small hands, so I took this top charge pipe off, and then that gave me enough kind of wiggle room to get my hand down in there to kind of get the socket extension and swivel started. And then the two extensions, I kind of held it up underneath with my hand, and then used the other hand to kind of get that guided and lined up. It's not a good time. So you could take the bottom charge pipe off. That would give you probably a lot more room. It's just a little bit of a pain to kind of fish out of there, but not too bad. So if you got small hands, I'd maybe attempt it with it still in. A couple little taps, the impact, and yeah, cracked it loose. So you can see the old one, the bushing's all just kind of hanging out there, and you can actually kind of turn it like rock it by hand. And then if you look, you can see the old one's sitting all kind of cockeyed. So got a nice new INA one we'll throw on there now. Tighten her down, and obviously throw a new belt on as well. So going back together is going to be a little bit sketchy because you're not really supposed to start bolts with impacts. And also you're really not supposed to start bolts with impacts when you're using 3 swivels or 3 extensions, wobble extension, and a swivel. So there's a pretty high possibility of cross threading it, so we gotta be really careful. So I'm gonna get a pry bar down in there and just kind of keep a little bit of in pressure, and then I'm gonna get the light over here and just kind of make sure that bottom extension is looking somewhat square. It's not a real great thing. I might maybe just try throwing the little ratchet on there. Might make the most sense. Okay, it's on there. So that is really hard to get a feel for if it's starting straight or not. So I tried out the ratchet, but it would just kind of kept jumping around. The issue is that pin swivel would basically be jumping up and down as you were turning it, and you couldn't get it square. So just a few gentle hits with the impact, and then you can kind of feel it start, and then yeah, snugged it down, and then I could throw a wrench or throw my bigger ratchet on there and make sure it's actually tight. So overall, not as bad as what I thought it would be, but I still have to try and get my sockets out from underneath there.